Do you want the lowest ACT score possible? Here's 5 things you can do to ruin your chances at college acceptance and get as little scholarship money as possible. So obviously nobody actually wants those outcomes, but I personally think that a lot of times it's really helpful to think about different problems with an inverted thinking process. So we're going to think about the ways that we can get the worst possible outcomes and then flip that thinking on its head to do the exact opposite and try and get the best possible outcome. So we'll jump right in with tip number 1 for how to get a low ACT score. So if we want to get a low ACT score, the first and best thing that I can recommend is to do absolutely no preparation for the test outside of your high school classes. A lot of students will do exactly this. They'll go into the test thinking that their algebra class, their grammar class, their geometry class will all just prepare them for what the ACT is going to throw at them. But this could not be further from the truth. The ACT does ask questions about all of these topics, but the way that it asks these questions is completely different from the way that your high school classes will ask about these topics. For example, take a look at this ACT math question right here. We can see that they're just asking about the area of a triangle, which is exactly what the geometry class that you took would ask about. But this ACT question doesn't just give us the dimensions of the triangle like your high school geometry class probably would. What the ACT does here is it actually puts the triangle into a coordinate plane, and we have to figure out what the dimensions are by using our knowledge of the coordinate plane. So if you're used to only having to think about one thing at a time on a test, which we typically do in class, then it's going to take us some time to figure this question out, and we're probably going to hurt ourselves on the more difficult questions later on because we spent more time figuring this question out than we probably should have. So if we flip this type of thinking on its head and we're really prepared for the way that the ACT asks these questions, then we recognize this question because we've seen it before. We spend very little time on this question and we get the correct answer very easily. This allows us to save time for the more difficult questions and get us the best possible ACT score. And now for tip number 2 for getting the lowest possible ACT score. What we're going to want to do here is be as stressed and as sleep deprived during the week leading up to the test that we possibly can be. This is going to make sure that by the time test day comes, we're completely sleep deprived. We have no focus at all. We can't figure out what the questions are asking because we can't sit there and focus on anything. And there's a couple actions that I would recommend that my students take if I wanted them to do this and end up with a low ACT score. So first off, I would tell them to focus as much as they possibly can on all of their little tiny assignments and presentations for high school classes that don't really matter as much as the ACT. And then second, I would want them to spend as much time and energy as they possibly could on their little clubs and their extracurricular activities that they're not that interested in. I'd want them to sign up for extra sports that they're not really that interested in playing, just so that they can try and look good on their college resume. This is going to make sure that their schedule is loaded to the gills the week leading up to the ACT, and they can't get a good night of sleep and they can't really do any last minute preparation to get ready for the test. So obviously when we flip this thinking on its head, what we want to do is cut down on all the distractions except for the ACT when we're trying to get ready for the test. If my student has some assignments, maybe some class projects or a presentation or something for one of their high school classes during the week of the test, what I would actually want them to do is go to their teacher, tell them about the situation, and ask them politely for an extension to the deadline, or maybe kind of push the deadline back by a week or 2 to give them extra time to prepare. Most teachers will be completely understanding about this, but even if they dock your grade by a couple points, that is going to be a drop in the bucket compared to what an extra couple points on the ACT could do for us. And I would also recommend, just generally, not just in the week leading up to the ACT, but just generally, to stop doing any clubs, extracurriculars, or sports that you're really just not that interested in. If you're not really passionate about a sport or a club or a project, then why are you doing it in the first place? I think a lot of students out there are really trying to pad their college resume by doing things that they're not interested in at all. And this will just end up spreading yourself too thin and not allowing you to focus on the things that do matter, like the ACT or your passion project that you're really passionate about. When we're able to cut out a lot of these unnecessary things, we're able to stress a lot less, focus a lot more, and also during the week of the test, we're able to sleep a lot more, which is absolutely critical for getting the best possible score. There are countless studies that show across the board students who get more sleep prior to a test end up doing a lot better on that test. So if you're underslept and you're not fully rested, you're not going to be doing as well as you possibly could be. So we want to make sure that once we've cut down on all this excess stuff, we're using this time wisely by getting more higher quality sleep, and that's going to allow us to do a lot better on the test. Next up, we have tip number 3 for getting a low ACT score, and this is not knowing or understanding the content of the ACT. This look like not understanding the grammar rules, not knowing where commas, semicolons, and periods go, not knowing the algebra on the ACT math section, not knowing how to solve for function questions and things like that. This would also look like not knowing the geometry rules, not knowing the area of a circle, not knowing the area of a triangle, not knowing how to find similar shapes, anything like that. So if we don't know how to do any of these things, that's a great way to get a very low score on the ACT. So obviously if we want to avoid getting a low score and end up getting as high of a score as we possibly can, we're going to want to be bulletproof on the content knowledge. And the best way to work on this is to use real practice tests from real ACTs that they've actually asked questions on in the past. And once you take these real ACT practice tests, you're going to want to comb through all of the incorrect answers and locate the pieces of content that you were unsure about. If it was a question about a circle, then mark down that you're not sure about some of the stuff with circles. If it was a question about a semicolon, then mark down that you're not too sure about semicolons. And then once you get a good list of all the topics that you're unsure of or you just need to brush up on, then you can do your studying on those specific topics, and that way you're not wasting your time studying the topics that you already understand. There are tons of free resources like Google and Khan Academy that can help you out to study these topics. And if you spend a significant amount of time studying these topics, then that's how you get to the bulletproof content level where you can just recognize a question immediately and really fly through a lot of those easier questions on the ACT. This is going to give us an edge, not only on the questions that are asking about those specific content areas, but also on the tougher questions that are more strategy based, because you'll have more time to actually figure these questions out. And now, tip number 4 for getting the lowest possible ACT score. We're going to want to be as unfamiliar with the structure of the test that we possibly can be. We're going to want to have no idea what is tested on each section, no idea how many questions are on each section, or how much time we have to answer each question. This is going to ensure that by the time the test starts, we just have really no idea what we're doing, no idea how to approach the test, and it's going to leave us guessing on a lot of questions. So since we want to flip this thinking on its head to get the highest possible ACT score, we're going to want to be familiar with the ins and outs of the structure of the test. So this is knowing that the English section is the first section that's asked about. This is 45 minutes to answer 75 questions. So a little bit over 30 seconds per question. We should pace ourselves accordingly. On the math section, this is knowing that it's 60 minutes for 60 questions, but that it's not actually just 1 minute per question because the questions get more difficult as we move through the test. If we're trying to answer all 60 questions accurately, then we need to be through the first 30 questions in about 20 or 22 minutes, give or take. And then moving on to the reading section, we have to know that this is 35 minutes to answer 40 questions. There's going to be 10 questions per passage, and we have to know that we have about 8 minutes per passage, give or take. And finally, we have the science section. Again, this one is also 35 minutes to answer 40 questions, but there will be 6 or 7 passages instead of the 4 on the reading section. If we're locked in on the structure of the test and we're very familiar with what each section looks like, then there's really nothing that can surprise us. And there's no reason that we're going to be caught off guard and miss random questions that we shouldn't be missing because we're unfamiliar with the test. And tip number 5, the final tip here for getting a low ACT score, is waiting way too long to take the test. If I wanted to screw one of my students over and get them the lowest possible score, I would tell them to wait until the summer after their junior year or the fall of their senior year to take the test for the first time. If you wait until this time period to get ready for the test and actually take it for the first time, then you're going to give yourself the lowest possible chance of improving your score before you have to submit it for college. So obviously what we do when we flip this thinking on its head is we want to take the ACT as early as we possibly can. A lot of college counselors from your high school will actually recommend that you wait super long to take this test. I'm not sure why they do that, but I personally recommend that students take it during maybe their sophomore, spring, or fall of their junior year for the first time. This allows them to get a good starting score so they know exactly where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and where they need to improve, as well as it actually gives them a good idea of just what the testing day looks like. It gets them a little bit more familiar with showing up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday to school and taking a standardized test in a room with a bunch of other students. In addition, one of the things that some people are afraid of is getting a low ACT score on the first time they take it, but there's really nothing to be concerned of. Almost all colleges out there will only look at the best score that you possibly get. So there's really no harm in taking the test a bit early, but there is harm in taking the test too late. Most students take the ACT 3 or 4 times before they're happy with their score. And that's because your score can only go up over time. Let's say you get a really good score on the math section the first time you take it, you can actually ignore the math section from then on and only focus on the other 3 sections. And that can actually make it easier to improve on those other 3 sections and get the highest possible composite score. So since taking the ACT early can only really provide benefits without any extra costs, we should really look into taking this test a little bit earlier than most high school counselors recommend. Now, if you take the ACT early and you're unsatisfied with your score, then you can actually lay out a good roadmap for how to improve on your ACT score. And if you or your student are in need of a roadmap to a better ACT score, then follow along here on the channel as I'll continue posting more content about how to improve your ACT score and get into the best colleges with the best scholarship package. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you soon.